about children and adults.
Good day everyone. So today I will be reporting or I will be discussing about why study about children and adolescents. Perhaps most of it all of you are going to be future educators, future parents that will be responsible looking after children and adolescents as your client or students or even children's, and you will always be a part of their daily lives. The more you have the chance to learn and understand them in the light of their developmental stage, the better you can guide them correctly. As a future teachers, most of us will be working with you as a children and teenagers almost every day inside the classroom, during activities, and even outside of school. That's why it's very important that we understand how they grow, how they think, how they behave, and what influences them. From birth, through infancy, and into adulthood, we constantly develop and learn from genetic and learned factors. As children grow into adolescence and then into adults, individuals' innate characteristic or heredity and life experience environment plays in an increasing role as children adapt into external and internal conditions. During the first 5 to 10 years of child life, there is almost unimaginable physical, social, cognitive, and emotional and moral changes and growth which takes place. Growth and development obviously continue during the child's early life until maturity and adulthood. In these early years, children work out on their place in world. They are part of family, a community, a social system. They are also an individual being, and their foundation of personality are well some child development experts have called the various stages of development and difference names over decades of research. Some known child development theories evolved from work of Sigmund Freud, Jean Piaget, Erik Erikson, and Lev Vygotsky, Bronfenbrenner, B.F. Skinner, Ivan Pavlov, and many other psychologists. By studying children, we can learn more about why they develop the way they do and also the most effective way in to help them to develop a responsible citizen with positive contribution to make. So from the moment a child is born until they become adult, they go through many stages. Development, physically, emotionally, socially, morally, and intellectually. These stages are affected by two things: heredity, which means what they inherit from their parents, and environment, which is their experiences, family, and surroundings. For an example, during the first 5 to 10 years, a child experiences intense growth and changes. Their personality start to form and they begin to find their place in their world. Many experts study these stages like Jean Piaget, Sigmund Freud, Erik Erikson, Lev Vygotsky, B.F. Skinner, and others. Their theories help us understand children better and guide them into the right way so they grow into responsible, independent, and respectful adults. So now let's move on to the example of how adults work in this. So by understanding more about children learn to read, we can develop programs that are more effective in helping children to read. With our knowledge of children's development, can also understand why some children have difficulties and feelings and how to help them overcome challenges and what we need to do. According to J. Thinker 2018, understanding child and adolescents development will help teachers present materials that the students are physically and mentally ready for. For example, by learning how children develop reading skills, we can make better programs to help them learn. If a child has learning delay or shows unusual behavior, our knowledge can help us recognize this sign early and find the best way to support them. According to J. Winker 2018, Understanding Child's and Adolescents Developmental Development allows us to present lessons that are age appropriate. If we give students work that is too advanced or too easy, they will either be confused
Good day everyone, I'm Isa Carmento Dalawis, and today I'll be discussing the story of Jeffrey Dahmer and Alice Walker.
How we grow up is a mix of what we're born with, the world around us, and the choices we make. Some kids have an easier time, but others face really hard things that change their lives. The story of Jeffrey Dahmer and Alice Walker show us how different growing up can be. Dahmer, who did terrible things, and Walker, who became a famous writer, both had tough childhoods, but their lives went in very different directions. By looking at them, we can see how important our nature is, and how we are raised, and how we can either break down or become strong. Jeffrey Dahmer's early life was full of trouble. His parents fought a lot and then got divorced, which made him feel alone and uncared for. He also had bad experience when he was young that hurt him deeply. While these things are definitely bad, they don't always turn people into criminals. Many people who go through similar things still live good lives. Dahmer's story makes us wonder what else was going on. Maybe something in his genes or a lack of people to help him. On the other hand, Alice Walker's life is a story of being strong even when things are hard. She grew up poor and faced unfair treatment because of her race. When she was 8, she lost sight in one eye. But even with all of that, Walker kept going, finding comfort and power in learning and writing. She became a successful writer and even won a big award, which shows how strong she was and how much art can help us. Walker's story teaches us it's important to have strength inside, people who support us, and chances to do well so we can overcome those problems. The different lives of Jeffrey Dahmer and Alice Walker show us how much our childhoods affect us. Dahmer's life is a warning about what can happen when people are hurt and ignored, while Walker's story gives us hope. By learning what helps people do well and what makes them struggle, we can try to make things better for all the kids. We can help them be strong, heal from hurt, and have the chances to be the best they can be. The stories of Dahmer and Walker make us think about what's right and what's wrong and how we can make the world a kinder place.
Good day everyone, I'm Isa Carmento Dalawis, and today I'll be discussing the historical views of childhood.
Historical views of childhood. Over time, people's ideas about what children are like and how they should be raised have changed a lot. These different beliefs have shaped the way we treat kids and the expectations we have for them. Let's take a look at some of the main ideas about childhood from the past. So these are the types of the historical views of childhood. First is the original sin view. A long time ago, especially in the Middle Age, people thought kids were born bad and full of sin. They believed children's natural instincts were evil, so parents and teachers had to be very strict. The main goal was to control children and teach them religious so they could get rid of the sinful nature and become good people. Punishment was often used to keep them in line and make them obey. Next is the tabula rasa view. In the 17th century, a philosopher named John Locke came up with a different idea. He said that kids were like blank page or tabula rasa when they were born. This means that their experience and what they learned from the world around them were what made them who they are. Locke thought education was very important and that parents should spend time with their children, teaching them good habits and helping them become responsible adults. And the last one is the innate godness view. In 18th century, Jean-Jacques Rousseau argued that kids were actually born good and that society society was what made them bad. He believed that children should be allowed to grow up naturally without too many rules or restrictions. He also thought that if children were free to be themselves, they would develop into good and moral people. He emphasized the importance of freedom and nature in a child's upbringing. So, as you can see, how we think about kids have really changed over the years, from thinking they were born bad to believing they're naturally good. These different views have had a big impact on how we raise and educate children today. Understanding these parts, ideas, help us think about what's the best for kids in our own time.
Hi, I am Joshua Ray Arochea, and today I'll be discussing on the current issues on today's children.
Hi, I am Joshua Ray Arochea, and my topic is all about current concerns about today's children. The topics and news that we read and hear every day, whether in newspapers, magazine, on the internet, are mostly centered about children's welfare. Many of child development researchers are discovering each of these areas has direct and significant consequences. For understanding children and improving their lives, it is important for us to provide up-to-date coverage of roles of the following modern-day concern of today's children. So many of our problems or circumstances are all about children welfare, and this is what we are tackling today. In that way, we have interrelated factors that we are gonna discuss to deepen our understanding on this topic. So, health and well-being. Although we have become obsessed with health and well-being brought about by the COVID-19 world pandemic, and many of other factors are still jeopardized by many interrelated factors such as poverty. Poverty has made an impact on today's children and also on the children before this, especially the child before our generations. This topic has been always here since the generation before us. So, example of which are teenage pregnancy. Because of teenage pregnancy, many of the teens that became pregnant or teen mothers are experiencing poverty. So, next of which is starvation. Starvation is happening to many children in today's generation, especially the children who is underprivileged or poor. Because of poverty, children experience starvation. Because of inflation, the market price increased. It made it more expensive. That's why many children are starving because they do not afford food. So next of which is loss of livelihood. Loss of livelihood means loss of earnings, or simply they don't have the money to provide the basic needs like house, food, clothes, and other necessities. Children experience this a lot, especially in today's modern children. Next on our list is poor quality healthcare. Poor quality healthcare in today's modern children are experiencing poor quality healthcare. That means they don't have a quality healthcare simply because healthcare or medication is expensive. Now, or many of the equipment is not up to date or unupdated. That's why children now are not able to afford such healthcare. So next on our list is inadequate nutrition. Inadequate nutrition is where the diet of the children is not correct. When we say not correct, it is where the children takes or eats a lot of unhealthy foods like junk food. This causes their inadequate nutrition, or the children become malnourished. So next is alcohol and drug abuse. Alcohol and drug abuse. Here, when we say alcohol and drug abuse, is where children nowadays are influenced with they call bisyo or habits. When they are sad, they say tara tagay. It means they are going to drink alcohol. When sometimes they go to clubs or take antidepressant drugs, this is where they go to clubs that they party, they take drugs that make them feel high so they don't feel depressed. Next is violence against women and their children. In here is where the mother or children are being abused by the father or other people, like being beaten up or being harassed. Mental health. Many of the children nowadays experience these mental health breakdowns because sometimes they're going through many changes in their life or having problems. These are the main thing I always notice in today's children. Many and sometimes family problems contribute to this problem as well. So the factors that I discussed are what contributing to current concern about today's children. Education. Education is like parenting in an extremely important dimension. Children's life, according to Sandakert in 2003, education takes place in many places. Children learn from environment at home, from their parents, siblings, relatives, neighbors, peers, school, church, aside from books, watching television, social media, and internet. We might look back at our own learning experiences and say that today is much easier due to advent of technology. Yet, to some individuals, the new technology has an adverse effect on the learning styles of children today. To be more specific, the online classes and learning through modules takes a toll on children and parents with limited access to technology and literacy. It is also stressful on the part of teachers or educators and school administrators in implementing such approach due to short notice of preparation and training. With the adoption of the new normal, it may take more time to see difference. It may, just like how we reached when the K-12 program was implemented. We realize that being relevant is about embracing the new no matter how difficult it is. So, education, parenting profoundly shapes children's life occurring in diverse settings, home, school, and through various media. While technology simplifies learning for some, it prevents challenges for others, particularly with online classes and modules straining those with limited tech access. Educators also face stress due to rapid implementation. Adapting to this new normal requires time to demonstrate its impact, mirroring the initial reaction to the K-12 program. Ultimately, relevance lies in the embracing changes regardless of its difficulty. So, thank you. That's all about on my topic of current concern about today's children. Bye-bye!
Good day everyone, my name is Ira Shindalaskres and I'll be discussing to you about socio-cultural contexts such as culture, ethnicity, gender and development.
Hi everyone, a pleasant day. My name is Ira Shindalaskres and I'm here to discuss to you about socio-cultural contexts such as culture, ethnicity, gender and development. These concepts are central in the discussions of children's and adolescents' development. By context, we mean settings in which development occurs and where it is influenced by historical, economic, and socio-cultural factors. For researchers, it is like finding out if the children today are tolerant about cultural differences among other children. Let's begin in culture. Culture encompasses the behavioral patterns and beliefs and other products of a particular group of people that are passed on from generation to generation. In simple terms, culture is the way of life for a group of people, including their shared beliefs, values, customs, behaviors, and expressions like language, food, or rituals. Second is ethnicity. It is noted in the cultural heritage, nationality, race, characteristics, and religion and language. So, ethnicity is a complex and multifaceted concept that influences individuals' sense of belonging, worldview, and interactions with others. It can also intersect with other aspects of identity such as nationality, race, and culture. We also have here ethnic identity. it refers to a sense of membership in an ethnic group based on shared language, religions, customs, and values. Ethnic identity involves not only self-identification but also a sense of shared values, behavior, and a group attitude. Next, we'll talk about gender. It involves the psychological and social-cultural dimensions of being male and female. When we say gender, it actually refers to the socially constructed roles, behavior, expressions, and identities associated with being a woman, man, girl, boy, or non-binary persons rather than biological sex. So sex refers to the biological dimensions of being male and female. Sex generally assigned at birth based on physical characteristics. And lastly, we have gender and development. It is an approach and framework for achieving gender equality by analyzing the roles and relationships between women and men to ensure they equally contribute and benefit from the process. So when we talk about gender and development, it refers to the process by which children begin to perceive and understand gender categories, showing preferences for objects and behavior. And that's all about socio-cultural context. My name is Ira Shinhuala from BSN English 1A. Social policy refers to the national government's course of action designed to promote the welfare of its citizens. The shape and scope of our policy related to children's welfare are tied to our political system. Specific examples of social policies are the Philippines K-12 Basic Education Program implemented by the Department of Education that aims to improve fundamental skills, foster competent citizens, and prepare graduates for lifelong learning and employment. This 12-year program comprises 6 years of elementary education, 4 years of junior high school, and 2 years of senior high school. Its implementation makes the Philippines a global outliner as it transitions from a 10-year pre-university system, previously the largest in Asia and among the longest worldwide. Second is the Republic Act 9262, an act defining violence against women and children. Social policies expansion under President Duterte manifests aspects of the dark side of social policies reforms during the current global political moment, including the use of such policy reforms to legitimize a conservative and authorization political order. We have examples of social policies such as Republic Act 10931, Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act, signed into law in August 2017. Republic Act 11223, Universal Healthcare Act, signed into law in February 2019. The Philippines Constitution of 1987 mandates that educations get the highest budgetary allocations and that a system of free public elementary and high school educations is established and maintained. This was implemented by the passage of Republic Act 10351 signed into law in December 2012, which allocates 80% of the incremental increase in revenues from the excise taxes on alcohol and tobacco to the National Health Insurance Program, which in turn was used to subsidize premiums of indigents. Republic Act 9995, signed into law in July 2009, expands benefits from the non-contributory pension system for the elderly, including providing a monthly social pensions of 500 Philippine peso for indigent senior citizens. Republic Act 11310, Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program, Bridging People Program for the Filipinos Family, also known as the 4-Piece Act, signed into law in April 2019. And lastly, the Republic Act 10963, the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion Act, signed into law in December 2017 out of the concerns that our policymakers are doing so little to protect the well-being of our children. So that was for social policies and its example. Thank you.
Go.
Hi everyone, I'm Sadi Fernandez Banon and now I will be going going to tackle about developmental processes and periods.
Hi everyone, I'm Cedric Fernandez Bayon. Today I will going to talk about developmental processes, periods of development, and developmental issues. So the first one is the developmental processes. When we talk about developmental processes, these are the changes that we experience as we grow. The developmental processes has three components, which are the biological processes, cognitive processes, and social-emotional processes. So when we talk about biological processes, it talks about our body. Just like, for example, growing taller, learning how to walk, and the changes during puberty. And also, when we talk about cognitive processes, it talks about our mind. Just like, for example, learning how to read, solve problems, and remembering lessons. And the last one is when we talk about social-emotional processes. So, it is about our emotions and relationships. Just like, for example, making friends, feeling happy and sad, and developing our personality. So the next one, we have the period of development. So when we say the period of development, it means our life has different stages. Just like prenatal, infancy, early childhood, middle and late childhood, adolescence, and early adulthood, middle adulthood, and late adulthood. Again, when we say period of development, our life has different stages. So the third one is, which is the developmental issues. So when we talk about developmental issues, it is big questions about the human growth. So the first one is nature versus nurture. So the question is, are we shaped more by our genes or by our environment or experiences? So the second one is continuity versus discontinuity. So the big question is, do we develop slowly, step by step, or in a big sudden changes? So the third one is early versus later experiences. So the big question is our childhood experiences is more important, or the later experiences can also change us? So in conclusion, learning about this can help us understand how people grow, learn, and change through life. So thank you.